You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rolinson. I'm joined by James Rushton for another episode of our Claret and Blue community comments episode. This is our little podcast where we can take the comments from our previous podcasts and kind of spark debate from those talking points and get involved with the community and see what Villa fans are saying and put their opinions to us and back out into the podcast.
A lot of people talking about a lot of different things. So when I said to you, is it worth doing one? We're a bit both, is it? There's not really been any matches. But since Spurs, there actually has been a lot to talk about, even ignoring what's happened for Villa players at an international stage. John McGinn's nice overhead kick, Ollie Watkins getting off the mark, which is always nice. Plenty of things have happened domestically in our hyper-local Aston Villa world, so that's nice, Dan. So we can get back and enjoy some comments.
Yeah, let's talk about those internationals very briefly. What are your thoughts on the international break? Because for me, I've not even watched England the last couple of games. I saw Ollie Watkins come on. I wasn't watching the game, and then I heard that he was coming on, so I watched it, saw the goal. Since then, I forgot England were even playing last night or Wednesday night as we're recording. Not massively bothered about England. To be honest, we're always winning the qualifiers, never do well in a tournament. I want Villa to come back. I want club football to come back, and I can't wait for Sunday, to be honest.
It's always interesting. I watched the under-21s kind of crash out under Adi Boothroyd. That has been a mess for quite a while, despite the talent. But yeah, I do like international football. The narratives are funny. Kind of the talking points. It's like the most extreme version of football because it is so outcome-based and, comparatively with England and the players you have and the time they have together, it's almost like you'd have much more time in league football. I'm not defending England or how they play because I don't really enjoy it too much. But it's just how it kind of switches and kind of takes everything. And I guess because it's bigger and not better, but bigger. And it's all the best players in England playing for, or players who should be the best players in England playing in one team. So it's just all hyper-focused. And it takes everything to the extreme, including those narratives like we just said. So it's always interesting to see when England concede one goal, the explosion that happens, and it's happened. It's throughout my lifetime that it's happened. But I do like watching England. Not enjoy watching England, but I do watch watching them succeed. And of course, it's even been better with Tyrone Mings, Ollie Watkins, and Jack Grealish until his injury, showing what they can do at an international level, which is really, really nice. And it's been a long time coming for us.
Yeah, that's the part I like, seeing Villa players do well for international. So it's still got a Villa focus for me. Speaking of, John McGinn scoring for Scotland again. Hopefully that reignites a bit of club form for him and repeats what we've been saying. And I think there's a comment that we'll get to later in this episode. Feels a bit wasted playing at DM, doesn't he? Or deeper in Villa midfield when he's scoring goals when he plays further forward. Yeah,
I think when Villa came up to the Premier League, they had like the two. This is another thing we'll come on to. It's all leading to another comment. The two eights, as I call the two central midfielders, in John McGinn and Jack Grealish, doing all the legwork, pushing in defensively up the pitch, having the freedom up top, as well as getting back and doing their duties at the back. Villa have tried that again and again and again. We're trying to replace Grealish because he's moved out to the left where he's far more effective. Now it's time for John McGinn to get the freedom from it. So we're all in a bit of a state, seeing how well he's done for Scotland. And I mean, again, it's a different thing, but the overhead kick was really nice. The header he got into against who was it I was playing yesterday? They weren't Faroe Islands. They're very good, of course. They're not the top international tier of opponent, but John McGinn doing the business against them. So it's nice to see the freedom he has in a more advanced position. The overhead kick as well. Someone said it was like peak John McGinn, like a ween falling off his sofa. Like that's what it looked like, which is just, it's just the style he has. And I think people look at the way he plays and go, right, defensive midfielder, number 8, central midfield. But he's so much more than that. Like he plays like a centre back, like almost the way he kind of like muscles people off the board, like the physicality he has, but the technical ability he has when he's allowed to enjoy the freedom, like his attacking impetus, like he's so unique in that sense, and we were missing that a lot. I'd love to see him get the chains taken off him once more because he thrives.
Yeah, the comment I was referring to is from Lee Johnson. He says McGinn is being wasted playing deep. It's as simple as that, and that got 4 or 5 likes on it as well on YouTube. I don't think that's Lee Johnson, the Sunderland manager, but if it is, that'd be weird. Do you think we'll see McGinn change position, or is it going to be persist with what we've done so far?
I don't know. Dean Smith's quite set in his ways, but
yeah,
if he's done it, hopefully he's done it for a reason. But when we go back to our episode introducing Ross Barkley with David, Ross Barkley's meant to be the box-to-box midfielder, not both of them. And now we've got Morgan Sanson. So does John McGinn need to have those same? Does he need to be plugged in that same position? I'm not so sure anymore. I think there was a probably need for it. Villa didn't have the strongest central midfield in the world, but John McGinn deserves to be playing in a more natural position. Maybe we're talking out the backside here. Maybe he enjoys playing like this. But from what we've seen, the guy loves to run forward. He loves to dart into the box. He loves to arrive in the box. He loves to have a crack. He barely likes to pass to anyone else. He loves to dribble. He's got to be. If you're looking at the player who should be spearheading that midfield, it's John McGinn. So for me, I think he wasted. Yeah, it's looked difficult. People target him. He gets plugged into 3 or 4 opposition midfielders. He gets challenged. Probably needs that more up the top of the pitch where he's a bit more instinctive and can make that final third maneuver, like unlock it. Doesn't seem to be happening when he's deeper. He's got a lot. Where John McGinn is seated now, he's got a lot more to do to get into the position he wants to be, rather than when he's playing up top.
Let's go on to our first YouTube comment then. This one is from our AVFC Extra episode where we titled it, "Is Dean Smith a victim of his own success?"
There's plenty of ways that we can kind of articulate what's gone wrong or why there's been a slump. But ultimately, I think a lot of things have just been taken out of context. I think, as you say, the main reason why we're having the conversation is because we're in a slump. But that slump is about does it last about 5 games? And then inside that, we've beaten Leeds away. So I think we've had worse as Villa fans, haven't we?
Craig Taylor Broad says, "I don't understand the Smith out brigade. Smith has earned the right to see if he is a good enough manager to push us into Europe." And that was followed up with a comment from Brett Riverboat, who says, "This season has been the greatest chance he'll ever have. If it wasn't for Grealish coming back in the Championship, we would never have come up and Smith is sacked. COVID saved Smith last season. He was a game or 2 away from the sack after the Leicester away game. We will finish that season without that break." So 2 sides of the argument there. One, that we can't be calling for Dean Smith out because he still deserves that chance to take us on because we're ahead of schedule, to put it in quotation marks for those that are listening, not watching. And the other side of the coin is saying, well, he's had his chance to get us this far, and if it wasn't for other circumstances, he'd be gone already. I know you've already spoken about the Dean Smith in or out thing, but how do you address those 2 comments?
I think they're both really good. They're both fantastic comments. Craig, I think, is on every episode commenting, and he's always quite vocal on Twitter, so it's nice to see that we featured him finally for once, which is nice. So yeah, thank you, Craig, and thank you, Brett. If that is your real name, Brett Riverboat, it's a fantastic name.
It's a great name, to be fair.
It's great, and it's cracking. I agree. I think it's more like in conversation me and John had. I think it was more saying that I don't like the binary nature. It's like the Arsenal thing, the Wenger out. Once you're Wenger out, you can't be Wenger in. It's like you have to have that position, and that forms the basis of your footballing opinion, based around the fact that you've planted your flag in the Wenger out camp. So it's almost like if Arsenal win and that boosts Wenger's position, that's almost like a bad thing. And you can see kind of the arguments that develop about that, which is it's not the way we should be thinking about football. We should be slowly adapting our opinions. Like with the Leicester game last year, Dean Smith probably should have went. Or he could have stayed. People thought he would be the best option if we went down. But Villa were in a massive slump, and it did look, how are we going to get out of this? We were then afforded the time to dig ourselves out of a massive hole. But we were in a massive hole, and it was because of a variety of things, manager included. We weren't good enough last season, and we stayed up by the skin of our teeth. This season, I think I agree with both. Craig is right. Smith has got the credit in the bank. He's earned the right to prove that he's a major to push us into Europe. He hasn't earned the right to avoid criticism, but he certainly earned the right to see if he can be the guy to build and build and build on this season. Because, hey, I think a lot of people are scared that this is our only chance to get into Europe. We're going to have to spend a lot of money to replicate the quote-unquote success of this season. So we'll have to see what happens. But I'm in almost in 2 minds to agree with both comments. Yes, this season has been a fantastic chance. Yes, if Grealish come back, he didn't come back in the Championship, we wouldn't even be here. But these are just the things that happen in football, and it's what's made following Villa so amazing. The fact that it's so unpredictable. Like we were all predicting Villa to go down, Villa stayed up. We were all predicting Villa to finish whatever 15th. We could still well finish 15th, but we didn't think we'd finish 15th by beating Liverpool 7-2 and having this wild ride. So it is hard. It is harder than most other clubs to kind of judge the performance of the manager, Dan. Like, it's all over the place. To think this time last year, the position we were in the Leicester game, to what what's happened now, it's insane because it was Dean Smith is gone, or even Watford on 28th of December. My dad texted me when I was in a press conference sitting opposite Dean Smith. He's thinking, he's got to be walking after that match, James. And this is a dude, my dad loves Dean Smith, so it's just how bleak it was, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a clip I was doing a social media clip the other day, and I searched Dean Smith, and there was a clip from last March. I think it was just before the lockdown of 2020, the first one, and the clip was titled "Should Dean Smith be sacked?" or something like that. And I think it was Ash and Matt talking about it. And if I can find it again, I'll put it in here.
I think if they get to the end of the season and it carries on as it is, and Villa go down, I think they may look back and think, should we have taken decisive action 10 games ago? I'm still torn, to be honest, because I was still, and it's not the Villa fan thing, it's not the fact that Dean Smith is one of our own. I think it's more the fact that he's delivered promotion against the odds ahead of schedule. I think that probably cuts him more slack with me than the Villa fan thing. And another reason why I'd be loath to, or I'd certainly give a lot of thought before pulling the trigger on him, is, what are we talking? We're talking Big Sam? Are we talking John Terry going in there as his number 2? Because Terry's just as culpable in this as Smith.
Yeah.
As far as I can see, Villa got the worst defensive record in the Premier League. I think they conceded 75 or 76 goals the year they went down in 2016, which I think they're on 55, 56 or something now. Yeah. Averaging 2 goals a game. They're going to be, the way they're heading, they're going to be equaling that. Yeah. And that was an abject season.
Awful. Yeah.
You know, I just despair.
It just seems crazy that at one stage we're all going, Dean Smith out, he probably has to go now. Villa probably likely going to go down. I remember doing podcasts saying that we're going to have to be planning for the Championship and Grealish leaving, etc., etc. You go from that to turning it around in Project Restart, and there's times in Project Restart when me and Matt are sat here with our hands on our head going, that's it, Villa have blown it, we're still going down. They managed to survive on the last day. They start the next season in the Premier League, great run of form, massively overachieve. We all start to get a little bit carried away thinking, could we break into Europe? This is a bit of a weird season. If there's ever opportunity to break that mould, it's probably going to be this year. That falls off a bit. Grealish gets injured, and now 12 months on, we're all going, well, Dean Smith's taken us as far as he's got to go. It's just a strange ride we've been on. I'm not quite sure how to assess it when I reflect on it, because it's only been a year. Part of me thinks to go from such rubbish, essentially, to being massive overachievers. And overachievers is probably the wrong word, because we were consistently good for that first, 15 games, maybe. You have to give Dean Smith the benefit of the doubt, and I'm definitely not saying Dean Smith should be sacked, because part of that conversation is who replaces him. We've done these before, and people say, go all out for Pochettino when he was out of work, and you sit here going, it's just not going to happen, is it? It's Aston Villa. Pochettino will get a massive club, a European, a powerhouse kind of club. So part of that conversation is, I don't know who replaces him. Can he be questioned on his tactics? Yes. Can he be questioned on some of his form? Yes. Does that mean he should be sacked? No, I don't think so. It is where I fall on it.
I think the one part I disagree with Brett, well, we can highlight on Brett's comment. I'm not calling him out here. It's a good comment. It's that COVID save Smith. And I know not many people think about this when I say the COVID break, but you got to remember, he had a personal loss because of that. So if I think in the great scheme of things, would he have wanted COVID to happen? And I'm not saying that this is what he suggested by the comment. He suffered a personal loss. And if you come to this season as well, COVID hampered Villa. If you go to the, I think some StatsBomb put out I'll get the graph for you as well, Dan. StatsBomb put out a 5-game rolling average of the expected goals for and expected goals against, which is a good barometer of the performance, or the attacking performance against the defensive performance. So you can see if you're overachieving, bang on, or you're underachieving. There is a point in time where the COVID break happens where Villa's numbers just crash. I'm getting the saying the wrong way around, but correlation may not imply causation, or it might be causation doesn't imply correlation.
Same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be, but there is a specific point. It's worth having a conversation that the COVID break killed Villa's momentum, probably more so than Jack Grealish's injury, because you see it almost balances out when Grealish is out of the team. When the COVID break happens, it just drops. It plummets from game one. It goes down, and when Grealish is out, it trails off at another figure. But that break happened last season. We had our break, we got better. This season we had a break, we got worse. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Move on to our next YouTube video that we're going to reference. These are in no particular order, by the way. The Curtis Davies podcast.
Obviously, you and Martin Larson became this partnership. Did you learn a lot from playing alongside him?
I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to say no.
Comment from ADAVFC says, absolutely loving these interviews, Matt. Keep up the great work. Matt with 2 T's always makes me laugh as well. Curtis seems like a great chap, and it's such a shame regarding the injuries. I can imagine he would have been looked at in the same light as Mellberg and Larson if he'd kept the injuries at bay. Now, it's weird because Curtis Davies is my era. I don't really remember that much about him. I remember him being a decent player, but not really much more than that. The injuries obviously got in the way. When he was talking in the podcast about popping his shoulder back in and stuff, I'm sat there in this room recording it, like recoiling in my chair at the thought of popping a shoulder back into place. How do you rate Curtis Davies' time at the club, mate?
I don't know, because it's like you. He was in our era. Not to kind of say it's just our era, but
Yeah.
it was in our time when we were, you know, I think I was 14, 13, 12 when he
about
signed.
2007, 2008, 12 or 13.
Yeah, so I had my first season ticket, and I remember him being on the back pages of the paper quite a lot, and him being linked for a move to Man United. And I think it was something like he used to stack shelves. Now he's been linked for a move for Man United. And then Villa got him, and I was thinking, you know, you're at that time when you can't watch every game, you can't watch every West Brom game just to analyse an opponent, you know, in year 12, so you're not gonna. But like, that stuff is exciting. It's like, oh, he was linked to Man United. Now he's moved to Villa, so this is a big deal. And in his first game, I think he plays like a terrible game. Barely anyone could watch it by anyone at the stadium. Comes out and says he's a pub player. And there's an injuries. I think he had a really bad one against Arsenal, maybe March the 1st, 2008, if I remember, because I was really excited to watch Villa. I don't know why. I just remember that day very specifically, and I was really excited to watch Villa. I couldn't because I didn't have the channel, so I had to follow it on the BBC live commentary. I remember him going off with an injury and thinking, you know,
was that the Achilles?
I don't know. It was a really bad one though because he wasn't in for ages.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember the game specifically he said about the Achilles. I just remember the description of it being like an athletics gun and the pop of it, and I just was like, oh god, this is disgusting.
Turned to go back to right back and just heard really like an athletics gun. That's the way I described it. So it's like a really sharp bang. And then I kind of looked behind me thinking, as someone from the crowd like kicked the ball back in and it's like hit me, but I'm thinking that's really accurate. And then no one was behind me. The ball wasn't behind me. Ball was on the in the goal kick area. And I just went down. And as I went to go down, my literally my foot was just planted on the floor with no kind of hold. So I knew I'd heard about it before, but I knew my Achilles was gone. So it was really surreal for the physio and the doctor because they were coming on the pitch. I'm just sitting there calmly as anything saying my Achilles is gone. I've ruptured my Achilles. And they thought I'd be in pain. But because my nerves had gone with it, there was no pain. It's just the initial punch basically on the back of your heel that you feel. And then that was it, no pain. So the good thing for me and the lucky thing for me is that because the injury happened in London, Roddy, the doctor at the time, was in touch with a surgeon called Mark Davies, who used to do a lot of the Chelsea lads and things like that. And he worked at St John's Elizabeth's Hospital in St John's Wood. So it wasn't too far away. And I managed to get surgery within, I think, like 3 hours or so of doing the injury. So that was amazing for me. You know, like usually you have to kind of go back, ice it all up and all that kind of thing. But he luckily was able to come in and perform my surgery. And that night I'd already had my surgery and was ready to start focusing on my comeback.
I just remember it's like so many footballers' potential being there and the hype being there, and he's good. Like there's no problem with that. And maybe if he did play the same amount of games as Mellberg and Larson consistently, we'll be looking at him in the same light. But the chance was never there because it was taken from him by the injuries. But I remember him. I don't remember anything negative. I remember him being, you know, look. It's not like I look back and think, oh, Curtis Davies is brilliant. But when you bring up, you know, there's absolutely no reason for me to be negative about his time at Villa.
Yeah,
fine enough. But one of the funniest Curtis Davies stories I have, my mate, when we were knocking around in Erdington, like a car pulled up, and we were knocking around playing football in Perry Common. A car pulled up at the traffic lights. And it's a guy just bobbing his head to music. And my mate goes, James, that's Curtis Davies. And look, it ain't Curtis Davies, mate. Like, it's not even, no chance it's Curtis Davies. Like you said, he goes, oh, all right, Curtis. And the guy who puts his thumbs up and nods his head and goes, yeah. Drives off. And he goes, can't believe Curtis Davies did that. I can tell you now, the geezer was about 50 years old, so he wasn't Curtis Davies. It's one of the fight because he was going around telling everyone he met Curtis Davies. We did not, absolutely didn't. He was hanging out his car window. But I went over. I think I wanted to say, Matt, bring that up in the interview. Were you ever driving around Perry Common?
The answer to that is probably yes. Also, I love that you just said like, "Oh, we met Curtis Davies." So no, you didn't. You saw a man, even if it was him. You just went, "All right, Curtis." You didn't meet him, but
yeah, he didn't. It just brings it up so many times. We're like, we didn't meet Curtis Davies.
Just from a podcast point of view, I say this every time we do one of these. Or not every time, obviously, but I always come off a few of them and think, "Oh, one of the nicest blokes we've had on, one of the best interviews we've done, one of the nicest blokes in football." And I feel like I'd give that tag to a lot of people. But the Curtis Davies one. He spoke with such honesty and he was so open and speaks very well. Also, from a production point of view, he had a microphone as well. We thought when we were coming on here, he got pulled his mic. He's like, "Does the sound all right? How's my framing? Does my lighting look okay?" And I was saying, like, "Yeah, mate, most people do these on their phone, like sat in the corner of the room, not even thinking about that kind of stuff." But because he's got aspirations of being in the media and doing media work from home, he was really switched on and, like I said, one of my favourite podcasts that we've done so far.
Yeah, does everything seem all right at my end in terms of my picture? I'm not slow or anything like that. And
from a technical point of view, you're the best looking and best sounding guest we've had on, so we've rated on.
Dan, can you not flirt with our guest, please?
Rob Henry said what you said, honest, open, articulate, very fair, great humour, great interview with humour and insight, and that is just, I think that's what we aim to do, so that's really nice. Especially with that's someone like Curtis Davies, I guess. No, again, not doing it down. It's just like it's not Olaf Malberg, it's not Martin Larsson, is it? It's not Tyrone Mings. It's someone who has just enjoyed a career at Villa. No massive highlights, no massive lowlights, barely injuries, and there's such good stories in there. And like,
only there for a couple of years as well. It's not like you've got someone there who's been there for 15 years.
And he's played at Blues and Blues Backies, Leicester and Derby, so he's been around the Midlands. A few big rivals as well. So it's just so good that it can be such a positive thing.
We'll go with player ratings next. So this is the first or second episode that we've called Priest's Press Pass, which is very difficult to say. Obviously, Ash Priest is the only one still going to games, luckily for him, unfortunately for the rest of us, where we kind of catch up with Ash once or twice a week on Facebook Live and get his thoughts on what's going on at Villa.
I'll probably say Traore has been the standout for me on a consistent basis. Okay, he hasn't lived it up week by week, but he's coming. He ain't done too badly, to be honest. 17 million initial from Lyon. Bit of a statement signing as well. Champions League pedigree and all that. He's shown glimpses, hasn't he? His skills, first time finishing. He's got in the goals, but consistency is an issue, as it is with a lot of wingers, apart from Grealish, who's just consistently good. Same with El Ghazi as well. He had that good December. He was up player of the month in the Premier League. He was on fire, wasn't he? After scoring that penalty. As for Trezeguet, it just hasn't happened for him. As he started the season well, he had a goal rubbed out at Arsenal at the back post where that went down as an own goal. That could have kicked him on. And he picked up a hamstring injury at West Ham and had a lengthy spell out. So all three, I'd probably go Traore a 7, El Ghazi a 6, and Trezeguet 5, probably in that order, I'd say.
I just want to get your opinion on how you rate the squad as a whole overall. So there's a comment from Cloudy with a Chance of UFOs, which is a great name for YouTube. He's put 6.5 or 7 out of 10 for the whole squad and 8 out of 10 if we didn't drop off, which I quite like that bit in brackets. It's like saying, well, 10 out of 10 if we won the league. But I understand the point, like before the drop-off and 8 after the drop-off of 6.5. How would you rate the squad and Villa's season as a whole?
I'd probably give it an 8. And I hope that's not overly positive because of the drop in form and whatever, and how it's been in the last few games. But a lot of the best Villa memories I've had have been the performances from this season. Some of the best Villa performances I've seen have been from this season. Some of the best individual Villa performances have been this season. In terms of even the goalkeeper to Jack Grealish, it's been fantastic. The turnaround in how we were from last season to this season. It ticks a lot of boxes for me personally. I know it doesn't for everyone else. So I'd go with the 8, to be honest. The 8 is bang on because I think the people who needed to turn up have turned up. And yes, there's been a few issues here and there, but the turnaround from last season, some of the players, Matt Targett's the biggest example. I think Ash said he might rate him better over Cash, and I think fair enough. Targett was, people were saying that he would make up injury. Like fans think he must have made up an injury because he don't fancy playing against an opponent. Now it's like the other way around. People don't want a piece of Matt Target. Like, he's fantastic. He's extremely physical all of a sudden, and he's found his role at Villa. But last season, you may have rated him at 6, 7 at best, the absolute best. And yeah, he might have had some fantastic performances here and there, but overall, people were thinking just get by another left back. No, he's been superb, and that's not just him. That's many people in the squad. Ezri Konsa, the progress Ezri Konsa's made. Matty Cash in his first Premier League season, stepping in. 8 out of 10 for me. I don't know about you, Dan.
Yeah, I'd have gone an 8 as well. I think I'm not going to separate it into pre and post the drop off of Villa, because we've still got 10 games to go. If we continue to do well in those, I think an 8 out of 10 is fair. And almost whatever happens, I'll be on the higher side of the scale, even if we finish 13th or 14th. I will be a little bit disappointed, but it's still progress, and we've still had some good moments this season. So I think an 8 out of 10 is probably fair. Off the back of that, I don't want to go too much into the player ratings. Somebody, Christopher Trotter, said, I don't think there's a number that we can give to Emi Martinez. I've never seen the fans take to a player like this, and we've never even seen him play, which is one of the biggest downsides of the situation with football at the moment. I wanted to ask you 4 spin-off questions, and we'll try and get through these pretty quick fire. Most underrated player in the Villa squad?
Most underrated? I
think this is quite difficult.
It is.
They're all rated quite well.
I can't say McGinn, and it's only because he's been off the ball, but people still rate him really highly. And, you know, if he starts playing it more naturally, like, people would just be expecting it anyway. It's hard. This one's hard because Trezeguet would have been the big one for me, but he hasn't really performed like he was at the end of last season. Nakamba. I think Nakamba's the one.
That's a good shout. That's not bad.
Because he's used situation in certain situations that benefit him. So he's not going to be in the team a great deal. But when he is, he does his job perfectly.
Yeah, we'll go with the next one, most improved. And this is summed up in an easy one. We've already spoken about him. Yeah. Matt Target.
Hang on.
Simple as that, isn't it? We've spoken about him at length on a couple of podcasts now. He's certainly the most improved. Possibly Konsa even. He was good last year, but he's definitely gone up a level this year. But Target wasn't really anywhere near it last year, and he's now. So I think he'd win most improved for me. Best signing, obviously, from this season?
Martinez, man. Not even close, is it? Watkins is great, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Ian Wright compared him to Carlos Tevez and Jamie Vardy, which is like, even at Vardy's level, you know, that'd be good enough. So Tevez will be like, don't get me started. Martinez, we did a player of the season vote. Who's been Villa's player of the season so far? Martinez got 3 times the vote to Jack Grealish. So says a lot.
Yeah, when we first signed him, we spoke to Art from Football London, who's now with the Athletic, I think, and he was glowing about him in Martinez, and there was an Arsenal fan that replied saying that he'll win you 10 points this season. Yeah, I think it's above and beyond that. I think he probably won as close to double that. The clean sheet record alone is unbelievable. And like Christopher said earlier, the fact that we've not even seen him in person yet and seen him play is such a shame. But yeah, easily best signing and probably one of the best signings in the league as a whole. Biggest potential. Now this is going to be the squad as a whole. Who do you think's got the highest ceiling? Obviously Grealish, we all know how good he is, and he can definitely be better. But I'm not taking that as an answer for potential. Who's somebody that is good at the moment, but could go on to be a world beater.
Don't know about world beater. Yeah, it's hard.
Oh, yeah, that's an extreme way of phrasing the question. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Konsa seems to be kind of close to it, so I don't want to say he's got the biggest potential because he seems pretty close to being a really, really good Premier League centre back. I think the easy answer is Douglas Luiz, but if you want the controversial answer, like the only person could actually be is looking at this list from Cloud Over Chance UFOs that we're using as like kind of a study. The biggest potential in the first team squad, it can't be Louis Barry, Kane Kessler, because they haven't played first team games by the FA Cup, or Carney Chukwuemeka. It can't be them. The only person it could be is like Keenan Davies. That's the only person.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, because Grealish is there. Barkley's a good shout, but would Villa sign him next season? Because we all know what Barkley could be. But is dropping down? Is that potential? I don't know.
I think Matty Cash.
Yeah, I think that's.
He's very good, and we all know how good he is. But yeah, that one. He's had the one season in the Championship with Forest where he's played right midfield or wherever it was, and then moved back to right back. Played one good season there. Gets his move to Villa. It's still impressive to the point that people are saying that he's one of the best right backs in the league this season. I think Cash will go on to play for England at some point. Now, I know
Didn't
that
he say he
England,
wanted Poland call?
Yeah, he can
Yeah,
go to Poland as well.
I know what you mean. Good enough.
Yeah. I think I know England were very well stocked at right back, and he's got some tough competition to get into that starting lineup. And obviously, Southgate, will he ever pick him anyway, and all that kind of stuff. But I think if we're talking about potential in his ceiling, I don't know how old Cash is. He's 23, 24, something like that. I think in another 3 or 4 years, Cash will have played for England. So if that's if that is the definition of potential that he can go on to become an international from, he wasn't even a right back a couple of years ago. I think that's the biggest potential.
Yeah, I think in terms of looking at it like that, it's definitely Matty Cash. The other options we have are Ramsey, Courtney Hawes, Keenan Davis. We haven't seen a fat lot from, and it's not in terms of potential. They haven't played games. Like Ramsey's played more than Davis. Davis has played like 4 full 90s in like 5 years.
Davis won't be here next season. I don't think.
So if Davis is going to show his potential, it's going to be elsewhere, which I think is.
I think Keenan Davis will be a decent championship player.
Yeah, I mean, even at Premier League level, like it's almost like he can hold off at anyone he wants. Anything else is not there.
He's definitely got some good traits, but I think he has to play in a 2. I don't think Keenan Davis is ever going to make a career out of playing up front on his own.
Yeah, when we've kind of the only times he's had available for the squad are in injury crisis, so he's never going to play in the Villa squad that suits him. He's never going to have the chance to play in it. And how do you prove you're better than Ollie Watkins? You know, it's a hard one because like. He's always the answer, isn't he? The striker who's not playing, like Liebel Kozak, it's always the answer. Really hope that Davies is, because it means Villa will be really stocked, but you just don't have the game time there. Like he has not played out since that run of games under Steve Bruce. I think I worked it out in the player ratings article. Played nothing. Like he's played like 10 minutes here and there. Even when he started, he's been taken off 50 minutes in, so he's not played. So can't make any judgment on him at all. But I hope Jacob Ramsey, this time next year when we have the same question, I hope it's Jacob Ramsey.
Matty Cash is 23, by the way. I know that people love it when I get my information wrong, but I've absolutely nailed it there, aren't I? So let's take that and run. Villa back in action against Fulham. We'll get your predictions in a second, but there was a comment from the post-Spurs stream, which feels like 3 or 4 months ago at this point, from Ryan Smith that made me laugh, and this is the only reason I've included it. Nothing really to talk about. He says, our set pieces make me want to throw up. It's disgusting how bad we are at them. I think we've talked about this before, but why are our set pieces so bad? And I tweeted something similar as well during the game. Just can't beat it first, man. That Traore corner was pathetic, and I think Sanson took one after that. And people saying, we miss Conor Harahan. And as much as we talk about Harahan, all he brings is set pieces. At least he did bring that.
Really defensive ones. I think we conceded like 2 or 3, and people have always made the point about the zone of marking, but 2 or 3 is like, if you compare it to other teams, that's like nothing, is it? But the attacking ones, we can't do anything with them. Maybe it's because our team is, like we said, really small and just can't get their head on the ball. But we can't. I know beating the first man is harder than it looks, but it's like every time.
Is it though? Is it that hard? Obviously, I'm not a professional footballer, but they are. Is it really that hard to get the ball past the first opportunity?
I think with how sometimes even Conor Harahan, who's in terms of a set piece taker, like he's the guy, isn't he? In terms of a left foot dead ball situation, he's the guy. Sometimes he wouldn't beat the first man. So I think to take the perfect corner, it's like you've got to get the height to beat the first man, but it's got to be low enough to kind of get into the box for a header. It can't just be punted over like really high so the goalkeeper just claims it. It's got to have the curve. It's got to have a lot to it. And the fact we're not even able to get past the first step of that like worries me. We can't get it high enough, but low enough. But when we do get it high, it's punted over the other end of the pitch, man. Like it's on the other end of the box. So at best, we probably need to just bring Glenn Whelan back, if I'm honest, just to give it to Grealish on the outside of the box. That brings on 60 minutes in.
I love that goal.
Best
so
corner we've ever had, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely love stuff like that.
Well done, Glenn.
We'll move on to the summer transfer window, though. This is something that feels like international break talk, because to me, it still feels ages away that the summer window is a talking point. But there's been nothing else to talk about, so this has been a hot subject in our comments. Keenan McKeever says, how long are the owners going to keep throwing money at it is the question, before they say, well, if we're not winning trophies and playing in Europe, then what's the point? We'll come on to the ownership part of that later, because there's another comment along the same lines. But for you, how do you think Villa approach this summer window? Is it a case of a big rebuild required to push on to that next level? Or do they go in and buy 3 or 4 players for 25-30 million each, and that hopefully bolsters the first team?
3 or 4 big signings would make a massive difference to Villa. Even
because
if
then this year's squad become the backup.
or even the rotation. It gives Villa just options which they kind of don't have. They do have midfielders and different types of midfielders, but that's it, isn't it? It's like, where's the other option? Where's the options up front? Where's the options on the wing? They're not really there.
Yeah.
In truth, as well as Trezeguet did at the end of last season, as well as El Ghazi's done at points this season, we probably do need another winger. We need Bertrand Traore to kick on. We need more first team options. We need more Premier League quality options. Dare I say, could we get one elite option? Is that where Villa can land next season? Can they spend 40 million on one player and then spend 20 million on a few others? Who knows? But I think I'm really excited about this summer more so than any other ones, because in this one, relegation was always at the back of your mind. Still, it didn't go away just because Villa stayed up. So last summer, you was always thinking, can Villa buy the right players to secure the next step up? And that's happened, and the players we bought last season have kicked on. So Villa have just been proven right kind of every summer transfer window. So, they've got the complete benefit of the doubt. I'm really excited. This is the biggest season for us. I'm really looking forward to summer for us. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to see who we'll bring in, because I think a lot of people think, we've dropped off. Villa players ain't going to be impressed. Grealish is gone. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think, it might not be an eye-opening summer where you're competing with Man United all of a sudden, but I think we'll have an option to make a splash and make a big difference and kick on and build something of this. Villa have done it. They've brought Johan Langer in to overhaul the recruitment. They bought new recruitment personnel in. Rob McKenzie, one of them. We've got another bloke in just last week to identify players. So we're making the right waves off the pitch. So I don't see where the conversation happens. And it is an anxiety about being a football fan. It's finding your place in a congested world. It's not like Villa, you can just fit in and be Villa and survive off your name and history. So I get the anxiety. No one wants to see us do what we've done before, but I can't see how that happens, man. Maybe there is a situation where we drop off next year, but in the long term, I can't see how this goes wrong, because they've hired the right people.
Famous last words.
But I can't. It would take some collapse. It would, and I mean,
it's on different levels, but I bet Sheffield United would probably sound the same in the summer.
I know, but their ownership situation has always been some kind of an issue. There has been, since I can remember, since they had the sale, and I'm not sure of the guy they sold to. Don't want to say his name on here because I'm going to get it wrong, and that's going to be just extremely bad. But from their situation, there's been dysfunction. It hasn't been a cohesive top to bottom project, and Villa has any toxicity or any dysfunction has been removed from the club, in terms of the playing staff and playing personnel, in terms of the coach staff, in terms of the recruitment staff. It seems to be everyone's on the same wavelength, which is a good start. People might bring up Sheffield United. It's a very easy comparison, but I think there's a level of dysfunction in the boardroom that simply isn't there.
Agreed.
Simple.
The back five, Jack and Ollie, are the only players consistently good enough this season. The rest of the squad needs to improve if we're to ever think about Europe next season in any way. And the other comment from the guy that we can't pronounce says, any player looking to Villa has an opportunity to play in a club on the up and to prove themselves. That and the fact they get to play with Jack Grealish, which is invaluable if you're an attacking player yourself. Mentioning those, the back five, Jack and Ollie, that's 7 players out of 11 that have been good enough this year, which, to be fair, that's what I would agree with as well. Yeah. Which, to be fair, 7 out of 11 isn't bad, is it? But if you want to be consistent and winning things or getting into a position where you're getting into Europe, you need 11 out of 11 to be good, not just 7. So how many do you think we need to improve in the summer, and what positions are there?
Probably the wings and the attacking midfield, unless John McGinn gets actually used. Got a lot to see from Morgan Sanson. It's been quite a start from at the club. He hasn't probably come in. He hasn't been starting games since he was signed. He's only been starting very, very recently. So still some way to go for him. But I think some improvements in attacking midfield, if not McGinn. Another starting winger, just so when Bertrand Traore is off the ball, there's someone to bring in or someone to start in place of him.
Yeah.
But I really like him, though. Some of the stuff he can do. Like we say, there's no player like Jack Grealish. There is. He's just not at it for every game. He's not even, sometimes he shows 10 minutes here and there have been brilliant. But in terms of a player who can dribble and lock defenses, Traore can do it. So it's a shame he can't do it every game. But forward improvements, I think I don't know, maybe find the next Konza, because I didn't even think I don't think he even thought he'd probably be starting as soon as he did with Mings and Engels kind of playing well at the start of last season, but made the position his own. So can we find the next Desri Konsa, someone who can step up if he is to leave? I hope he doesn't, but you never know with these things. But yeah, it's only a few quality improvements you need and some depth options and some potential. And you look, there's still a wave of Villa youth players that we don't know what we've got, and they seem to be making all the right noises. So we'll see, Dan. I
think Villa need to go pretty big this window, to be honest. Whether that's in terms of money, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they need 7 or 8 players unless they lose 3 or 4. I think you probably need. We're always going to be linked with a striker still. Edouard is the name that keeps coming up. Tammy Abraham, another that keeps coming up. I just don't know. With Ollie Watkins being the main guy, I don't think we'll go and spend 40, 50 million on Tammy Abraham. And I said exactly the same in the summer just gone. And yes, he's not playing at Chelsea, so does he come in and start straight away? I don't know. Do you play Ollie Watkins out wide? Do you play 2 up top? There is options there, but it doesn't seem like Dean Smith changes it. So it's usually one striker. Ollie Watkins is his guy. So I don't see us spending big on a striker, although that's going to be the main link because it's the sexy link, isn't it? A striker, the goal scorer. Mm-hmm. Midfield, I think you possibly need another centre-back. You probably need a backup left-back and somebody to potentially overtake Target. Target doesn't deserve to lose his place unless it's somebody you go and spend 40 million on a left-back. But if you sign somebody for 10, 15 million, they've got to be as good as Target and pushing him to improve and to hopefully replace him at some point. Rico Henry is a name that has been linked many times before. If there's one player that I'd like just to see at Villa, I don't know whether we particularly need him.
Be lying on Messi, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, same vibes. But Wendy from Norwich, the fact that he's still at Norwich is mind-blowing to begin with, that he stayed down there in the Championship. But people probably said the same about Jack Grealish at one stage with Villa. I don't know whether where he'd fit in, whether we'd have to play a proper number 10 for him to work. But Grealish, Buendia, and Watkins as a 3 and a right winger as well. I don't think Traore starts next season, to be honest. I think he becomes the backup and one of or both of Trezeguet and El Ghazi leave. And you get a bit of cash in for those and you put that money towards another winger that comes in and starts. Who that is, I don't know. And as Ash was saying on his episode, somebody like Marco Elise from Reading, release clause of 8 or 10 million or something. That's a player that you buy for the future. He plays one season and he's already worth 15 to 20 and it feels like a no-brainer to go after deals like that. So they'll be the ones I'd looking at. Buendia's going to get promoted with Norwich though, so again, he might stay at Norwich with them in the Premier League, but if somebody comes in like an Arsenal or a Man United who have also been linked with him, they become the big boy targets, don't they? And Villa don't get a sniff. So he'd be one that I'd love to see playing in a Villa shirt because I really like him, but whether we need him or not's another question. We'll move on to the ownership point because you were saying about the ownership's being settled and stuff like this. But what Keenan was saying about is there going to be a point when they say let's stop throwing money at it? Marco Heaney also says it seems that everybody has faith in the owners and they're spending, but I don't. I follow since the age of 6 and my trust in owners has been shattered. I think I won't ever see us in Europe for the rest of my life, and I'm already used to it. I don't know how old this guy is, but I think Villa will get into Europe in the next 5 years. I don't trust the positive spin put out by the club. The owners will eventually lose interest. That's the way it goes. That's a very downbeat comment from Michael there, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. So far, Villa's owners have been pretty much the perfect owners, haven't they? The fairy tale story. They come in, save the club, put money in, get Dean Smith in, he gets promotion. They keep Jack Grealish on a new deal. They get other players signed up on new deals. They keep giving us money. Villa improve. So far, happy days, and long may that continue. But is there a point when they start to go, well, Villa could have got into Europe this year. They haven't. Let's get rid of Dean Smith. Jack Grealish, Man United have given us 100 million. Let's take it. Let's move on. Is that feasible or not?
Look, I get the worry. I get the concern. I think we should always be not concerned or negative about our owners, but we should all have it in our mind that there can be ulterior motives about owning a football club, and there can be a level of boredom, a level of fun involved with the ownership of a football club. I mean, if it's not there, then a big source of the fun for the club can just up and leave. As we have seen with Villa, as we have seen worse at many other clubs. I think we're in good hands though, because they haven't come in and went, right, I'm running this club now, I'm the CEO, and I'm going to choose the transfers. They've hired a guy to do that, Christian Perslow, who's obviously very outspoken, but he also seems to have an idea about how the game should be played and how a club should be run. Right now, that's working really well for Aston Villa. Chances are it could go south and not work, but I think they've earned absolutely. It's like if Dean Smith has credit in the bank, then the owners do as well. I get the concerns. Billionaires are a certain type of person, and we've got two in charge of massive companies. One a hedge fund. So these are ruthless guys, especially probably more so Wes Edens, anyone else. But my concern isn't there. My concern is more so about any economic impact on their personal business activities that may then affect Aston Villa, rather than them just upping and leaving and getting bored. I don't see it being there. Absolutely, mate. I don't see there being a worry about the owners at all at the moment. Concerns, you're right to have. People have right to have concerns, but if you're talking about them getting bored and getting fed up and leaving, then they've had a right treat, haven't they? To be fair, since they've come into the club, and it's but done nothing but not just improve. It's shot directly upwards. Like since if you go back to Wes Edens and Sirius's takeover of the club has done nothing but shoot directly upwards in a straight line. It hasn't just steadily improved from the day of potential administration, friendly against Warsaw with Steve Bruce in charge, to playoff victory, to surviving on the last day, to beating Liverpool 7-2 and playing pretty well. How can they get bored that they've had nothing but a massive high?
I don't even know what we're talking about Villa being sold, but if Villa are to be sold, they will make a profit on the club because they're in a better position now than when they found them. Villa have got loads of saleable assets. They're worth a lot of money. The owners have got loads of money as well. There's the talk of the FFP changing or being scrapped or whatever the wording is. That gives them opportunity to spend and hopefully put Villa into a position where they can be more profitable, more successful, and that's a benefit to the owners. So I don't see that any immediate danger of them going, I'm bored of this, or let's cash in, or let's stop giving Dean Smith money because we've given him enough. I understand concerns, but personally, I'm pretty casual about the whole thing. We'll end on something a bit more light-hearted. We're just going to give it another quick plug to our League Cup feature that we did. It's obviously, I think it's a week ago, the anniversary of the 1996 Cup final, so it's not the day anymore, but that feature is still relevant. Obviously, if you want to go back and watch it, we interviewed Ian Taylor, John Gregory, Brian Little, and also some bits of Rob Bishop that we shot in like January 2020 that just happened to still be useful, so that was nice to be able to weave those in as well.
We're fast approaching the 25-year anniversary of winning the thing at Wembley.
I can't believe it.
It's mad, innit? You don't look a day older either, do you?
I feel it.
That team was one hell of a good team, and winning that League Cup was an unbelievable experience.
When they went 2 down there, you thought, well, that's it.
They were a big team back then, and with some star players.
In 94, you go in there thinking, oh God, Man United. In 96, you go thinking, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, we win the League Cup every 2 years. That was just the way it was,
what
happens.
You know how Bielsa this year went and spied on the opposition?
Yeah.
Howard had actually got somebody to come and watch us training. I had to go back and tell Howard Wilkinson that the kit man played in goal this morning. Paul McGrath just sat on the side doing nothing, eating an orange and an apple or something.
What would that night have been like, celebrating?
Can't remember much about it.
Yeah, proud, crikey. Yeah, it's brilliant.
What was most exciting, Brian, leading Aston Villa out at Wembley, or the motorcycle that escorted you from the hotel to the stadium?
I do like motorbikes.
It's coming from Daniel Wells, says, brilliant work, boys. Could have been 4 times longer. Love Tales and John Gregory, of course, but Brian Little will always walk on water. What a player, what a man. And conveniently, we've got a Brian Little episode coming out on Tuesday, the 6th of April, which I'm currently editing. File I've got so far is 1 hour 52. So that'll be cut down a little bit, but it's a nice big chunky interview of Brian Little and some really, really good stories in there. And definitely one to look out for next Tuesday. So thank you very much for tuning in to everything that we do. We hope you've enjoyed this episode as well, where we're trying, as we said before, to get you involved, your viewpoints and your comments. Thanks, James, for going through this all with me. Plenty of talking points ticked off there, despite the international break. So
yeah.
Internationals, transfers, squad depth, all of it covered here on Claret and Blue. As we said, Brian Little will be out on Tuesday the 6th of April, so make sure you come back for that. It's really, really a cracking episode in the bits I've edited so far. We'll be back on Sunday for the post-Fulham chat. I believe it's you and me, because I think Matt Kendrick's playing 5-a-side. I'm sure he texted me saying I've got 5-a-side, so I don't know if I'll be able to make it, which I mean, fair
Well,
play
that's a
to
bad
him, but
excuse, isn't it? Because
it's a poor
I'm
excuse.
working on that
Yeah,
day.
same.
I have work to do on that
Yeah.
day, so not thanks, Matt.
So yeah, cheers, Matt. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, James, for joining me on this podcast. We'll see you again on Sunday. Catch Brian Little on Tuesday, and we'll be back again with another chat next week. Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.